Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Så vi læser her fra Srimad Bhagavatams 6. bog, kapitel nummer 1, The History of the Life of Yami. Og vi har 3 vers i dag, hvilken vi skal pløje igennem med.
Ja.
Jeg tror, vi tager det første vers og reciterer, så kan alle få lov til at recitere. Så du har arbejdet hårdt for at skrive det sådan.
Ja.
Men det er jo andre, som skriver sanskrit.
Ja.
Okay. Sarve Padma Palasa Aksha
Padma Palasa
Pita
Kaushya
Vasasa Kiritina Kundalina Lasat Pushkaramalina Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Vitina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Vitina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Vitina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina Sarve Padma Palasaksha Sarve Padma Palasaksha Pita Kaushya Vasasa Pita Kaushya Vasasa Kiritina Kundalino Kiritina Kundalino Lasat Pushkaramalina Lasat Pushkaramalina Sarve Padma Palasaksha Sarve Padma Palasaksha Pita Kaushya Vasasa Pita Kaushya Vasasa Kiritina Kundalino Kiritina Kundalino Lasat Pushkaramalina Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve Padma Palaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Kiritina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Kirtina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Kiritina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Sarve Padma Palasaksha
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Pita Kaushya Vasasa
Kiritina Kundalino
Kiritina Kundalino
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Lasat Pushkaramalina
Sarve
Sarve
all of you
All of you
Padma Palasa Aksha
Padma Palasaksha
with eyes like the petals of a lotus flower.
with eyes like the petals of a lotus flower.
Vita,
Vita,
yellow.
yellow.
Kausheya,
Kausheya,
silk.
silk.
Vajasa,
Vajrasaha,
wearing garments.
wearing garments.
Kiritina,
Kiritina,
with helmets.
with helmets.
Kundalina,
Kundalina,
with earrings.
with earrings.
Lasat,
Lasat,
glittering.
glittering.
Pushkaramalina,
Pushkaramalina,
with a garland of lotus flowers.
on the garden of lotus flowers.
Read the next two verses. Translation. Sarve chanatma vaya ya vayasa sarve charo chatu bujam daloni singasa gada shankachakram buja shriyana dishu viti miralo kam kurvanta svina tejasa kim artam dhamaphalasya kinkano nishedata. Translation. The order carriers in Yamaraj said, "Your eyes are just like the petals of lotus flowers, dressed in yellow silken garments, decorated with garlands of lotuses, and wearing very attractive helmets on your heads and earrings on your ears. You all appear fresh and youthful. Your 4 long arms are decorated with bows and quivers of arrows, and with swords, clubs, corn shells, discs, and lotus flowers. Your foliage has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. Now, sirs, why are you obstructing us?" Purport. Before even being introduced to a foreigner, one becomes acquainted with him through his dress, bodily features, and behavior, and can thus understand his position. Therefore, when the Yamadutas saw the Vishnudutas for the first time, they were surprised. They said, "By your bodily features you appear to be very exalted gentlemen, and you have such celestial power that you have dissipated the darkness of this material world with your own effulgence. Why then should you endeavor to stop us from executing our duty?" It will be explained that the Yamadutas, the order carriers of Yamaraj, mistakenly considered Ajamil sinful. They did not know that although he was sinful throughout his entire life, he was purified by constantly chanting the holy name of Narayan. In other words, unless one is a Vaishnava, one cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. The dress and bodily features of the residents of Vaikuntha Loka are probably described in these verses. The residents of Vaikuntha, who are decorated with garlands and yellow silken garments, have 4 arms holding various weapons. Thus they conspicuously resemble Lord Vishnu. They have the same bodily features as Narayan because they have attained the liberation of Sarupya, but they nevertheless act as servants. All the residents of Vaikuntha Loka know perfectly well that their master is Narayan or Krishna, and that they are all his servants. They are all self-realized souls who are Nitya Mukta, everlastingly liberated. Although they could conceivably declare themselves Narayan or Vishnu, they never do so. They always remain Krishna conscious and serve the Lord faithfully. Such is the atmosphere of Vaikuntha Loka. Similarly, one who learns a faithful service of Lord Krishna through this Krishna consciousness movement will always remain in Vaikuntha Loka and have nothing to do with the material world. Sarve Padma Palastaksha Pita Kausaya Vashasha Kiritina Kundalino Rasa Puskaramalina Sarve Chanatma Nutma Vaya Vayasa Sarve Charo Chatubodya Danur Nisangasi Gada Shankar Chakram Buddha Shriyana Dishu Viti Miraloka Purvanta Svinatikasa Kim Artam Dhammapalasya Kim Karano Nishedata. The order carriers of Yamaraj said, "Your eyes are just like the petals of lotus flowers, dressed in yellow silken garments decorated with garlands of lotuses, and wearing very attractive helmets on your heads and earrings on your ears. You all appear fresh and youthful. Your 4 long arms are decorated with bows and quivers of arrows, and with swords, clubs, conch shell discs, and lotus flowers. Your foliage has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. Now, sirs, why are you obstructing us? Om Agyansanandashya Dinandanasanakia Chaksumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Maha Mukham Karoti Vatilam Hangam Mandraiti Grim Yatkripa Tadaham Vandeshu Gurvam Dinatarinam Nam Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddha Deva Swami's Nam Namaste Saraswati Devam Om Namani Prachayani Yavishesha Shunyavani Masachayani Satayani Vancha Kalvatarubhyascha Krivasuryayacha Patitam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasta Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So here we continue this dramatic incidents with the encounter between the Yamadutas and the Visudutas over Adyamil and what's going to be his fate. And we hear how the Yamadutas actually, they're puzzled. They, first of all, said they've never experienced anyone trying to hinder the rule of Yamaraj. It's simply unprecedented, so they're completely bewildered, or they're just somewhat shocked and also just surprised, and also a little offended. They are here. They're probably executing their duty. They're not doing anything wrong. They're simply executing their duty. So why should someone stop them? Who has the right to stop them when they are executing the duty of a higher authority? And that's right. It's when one is executing the duty of a higher authority, and that authority goes back ultimately to Krishna. Then there's no one who has any right to stop one, and one should not feel obliged, and even if someone feels disturbed by one's executing one's duty, one shouldn't in any way feel that, maybe I shouldn't disturb people. Sometimes people can be disturbed by, for example, the Harinam, the holy name, chanting the holy name like that. But, and of course we have to be sensitive and like that, but ultimately we have to go on with chanting the holy name. It's not that because the authorities will issue a law, no, you cannot chant the holy name, that we shall stop chanting the holy name. When Prabhupada was dealing with who was in Australia in the 70s, and the authorities at one point got very annoyed and got very heavy on the Hare Krishnas and the Harinam, and they issued under laws, at least ordinances from the police. It was a nuisance, it was a disturbance to the public order, and they told the devotees stop this chanting. And Prabhupada was asked, what should we respond? Should we go to court? Because they want to put the devotees to court. And so the devotees were asking Prabhupada, should we also go to court? Should we hire some lawyers and fight the legal battle? Prabhupada said, no, that's not. We just go on chanting. What can they do? We just go on chanting. Okay, then they can put us in prison. Then we chant in prison. We just gonna keep on chanting. What can they do? And they could. Ultimately, the whole thing, the authorities completely lost it. It's in the all know the story. But it wasn't that some were disturbed by the chanting, but they always had the order of the higher authority, so they just went on with their chanting. So here, similar, the Yamadutas, they are surprised. We are, we simply acting on the authority of Yamaraj. And so how can anyone stop us? And how do you have the audacity to stop us? Of course, they're bewildered because the Vishnu Dutas are not, they're not ordinary. So let's say like that. From the bodily features, one can see that these are, they were in the previous verse. They were asking who are you, demigods? Are you sitting sammas? Are you best of the devotees? From the, they can see they are from their features, from their effulgence, from their decorations, from their faces, and from everything that they are. They're not, in that sense, they cannot be wrong. And this is what is bewildering the Yamadutas. They think in one sense it's wrong to stop Yamaraj and his rule, his authority. But then you can just see from these Vishnu Dutas here, they're pure, they cannot do anything wrong. So, there's a confusing situation for the Yamadutas. And Prabhupada here in the purport says that even from the features, you can actually see, before you actually get really acquainted with a foreigner, then you can judge him by his appearance, by his dress, by his behavior. It's the features of the modes, basically, goodness, passion, ignorance, are also they're reflected in one's looks. Of course, that can be deceiving also. It can be deceiving. Why didn't anyone stop Putana when she appeared in Vrindavan? And she just went and she took this little child, Krishna, and tried to kill him because she had assumed the form of an extremely beautiful young woman. And then everyone was so enthralled by her looks, even though she was an ugly witch. That's what her real feature is, that she's an ugly witch, but she had the power to assume the form of an extremely beautiful young woman. And therefore, she was not stopped and saying, "Oh, she's so beautiful. She must be completely pure." No one. Yes. And when she took Krishna, as everyone says, "How cute!" That's it. Oh, she's how motherly, how cute, how innocent. So that's of course a problem. Maya can also appear very beautiful. So how can we tell? Well, often we cannot tell, and that's why we are in the situations we're in. Because we thought it looked so beautiful, but actually, when we got once we were somewhat hooked, then Maya peeled off, took off her mask, and showed her real face. Looks can be deceiving. Similarly, also, even like a person, a transcendentalist, like a very learned person, can actually also be quite ugly, at appearance. Like, as far as Vyasadeva is not actually particularly pretty. I understand. I understand he's quite ugly, and that's why when Vicheshavira, or actually after Vicheshavira had passed away, and the mother of Vicheshavira, Satyavati, who was also the mother of Vyasadeva, asked Vyasadeva to come and beget children in the two wives of Vicheshavira. That's a system in the Vedic age that if a man is not able to beget children in his wife, actually his brother can be called and he can beget a child in his wife. Of course, that is said, how to ask from Vedam Gavalam Pala Pain. What's it? You know that? But anyway, it said that five things that are forbidden in the Kali Yuga: to perform Aswamedha yajnas, to perform cow sacrifice, to offer flesh to the forefathers, to beget children in the womb of one's brother's wife, and to take sannyas. These are the 5 acts of forgiveness in the Kali Yuga. And but in previous ages that was a system. So Vyasadeva, he was called. His brother had passed away. His wives were barren, had no children. The dynasty had to continue. Vyasadeva was asked to come and beget children in his brother's wives, and he did. And but of course the wives of the Mitsubishi, they were not happy about that because he was quite scary. He looked so scary. So the first wife, she simply closed her eyes. He was too ugly to look at. And as a result, Dhritarashtra was born and he was blind. And the second wife, she was just scared. She got completely pale when Vyasadeva entered the room. As a result, Pandu was pale. It was like, understand, Pandu must have been somewhat albino. How is it? Albino. And Pandu was pale, so he was completely pale. But the point is, actually, anyway, just to get back, Vyasadeva does not necessarily look beautiful, but he is very beautiful. Why? Because he's decorated with learning, as Chanakya Pandit says. And, an ugly man becomes beautiful if he's decorated with learning. Chanakya has, there's different kinds of ornaments and different kinds of people that makes them beautiful. I think like a woman, a chaste woman who has a good husband, that makes her beautiful. And I don't remember, but even an ugly man becomes very beautiful when he's decorated with learning. So that's Vyasadeva. But on the first appearance, of course I don't know what it would be the first appearance of Srila Vyasadeva. I'm sure he'll be very attractive, especially to someone who has a little transcendental vision. With me to see, here we have the most elevated sages and devotees. But again, looks, they have to be, they can be deceiving. It's also, even fools can look very nice and proper, and they can be very well dressed. You can even dress a monkey like a gentleman in 3-piece suit and so on. But when he speaks, or you have a fool that is dressed like a gentleman, when he speaks, then Prabhupada says, then he actually reveals himself what he is, simply a fool. So, nevertheless, but that of course one has to get a little acquainted with a person, and then one can, from his actual features and speak and behavior, one will also see, what kind of person he is, if he is an elevated person, and so on. But here from the Vishnu-dulas, it's obvious that they are exceptional. Of course, they're from the spiritual world, so it means that they're the most exceptional souls. And the Yamadulas are seeing that, but again also, it's bewildering to them. How can you stop? How can you actually stop us from executing our duty? You're so elevated, still you're trying to stop us. What was that? So Prabhupada here, he gets in. Then he talks a little about that. Ajamil was. He was mistakenly considered to be sinful, but he was not, because he had been completely purified by the chanting of the holy name Ryan. And Prabhupada also says that, doesn't he say that here? Yeah, It says, in other words, unless one is a Vaishnava, one cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. Vaishnaviya Kriya Mudhyaviki Hana Pujaya. That the activities of a Vaishnava are extremely difficult to understand. And for a non-Vaishnava, for a common man, they cannot understand, they generally not really understand the activities of a Vaishnava. It's because Vaishnavas, they act often like ordinary people, being very active and busy and doing so many things involved in seemingly what will be considered mundane affairs, doing practical things, dealing with money, and so on, like everyone else is. So it can be difficult, like those who are spiritual or trying to become spiritual but are inclined towards Mayavad, impersonal, practices where you're trying to actually give up activity, give up attachment. It's a process of simply giving up. And they cannot connect that someone is so involved with so-called matter. For them it's matter, we say so-called matter, because we know matter actually is not really, it's not matter as such. Matter doesn't have any independent existence. It's a question of our consciousness. If we see matter as connected with Krishna, then actually it's not matter. But if we see it disconnected, that's what makes it material. Not the substance itself is not neither material nor spiritual. It is spiritual, but it's a matter of how we see it, whether we see it connected with Krishna or not. So, but those who are inclined to impersonal spirituality, they see matter is simply evil and should be avoided. We should not touch it. We should have nothing to do. The more spiritual you are, the less you you're dealing with matter, and therefore they cannot understand devotees who, again, for them they can see actually devotees are very spiritual, but then again they seem very mundane because they're doing so many things, and generally devotees are very active. That actually it's that the more one advances, in one sense one becomes more active. Maybe not necessarily running around all the time. One may also be active on working with the mind, working with intelligence, and so on. But devotees are very, very active and very involved, and so that can be very difficult for other spiritualists to really understand the activities of a devotee, or regular karmis also cannot understand it, and they will think that you're just like one of us. You're here. You are you're making money. We're making money. We're the same. We're as good as you are. But as Prabhupada says, there's a big difference between day and night, because the motive is completely different. And so actually it takes a Vaishnava to really understand the activities and plans of another Vaishnava. Vaishnavas are very deep. That's also one thing we have